Welcome to Board Ghost, story broadcast with games as the engine.
If living is a highway, then heaven is a bus stop. Been waiting for a minute there, but has it been forever? 'Cause dying don't agree with me.
We believe you're out there, hungry for stories for shared experience. We can't see you, can't hear you, yet we will play for you. This site's offering is The Great Soul Train Robbery by Alexi Sargent, and his is your imprint Cloven Pine Games, or your
right.
game publishing house. The Great Soul Train Robbery is actually live on Kickstarter as of the release of this first half of the podcast, and the second half will come out before the Kickstarter ends. It's part of the Zine Quest, the second annual Zine Quest. Before we get into it, let's see who's around the table. Our humble players, myself, John Holt, with me.
Ken Breeze.
And I'm Alexi Sargent, and follow my gaming endeavors at Cloven Pine Games. So check out the Cloven Pine Games handle on Twitter and on itch.io.
Sweet.
Welcome back, Alexi.
Good to be back.
So, Alexi, like with Dread, when you played with us, you're going to be GMing this game that you have designed. Do you want to give us a little information about the Great Soul Train Robbery?
Yeah, absolutely. So the high concept is the Great Soul Train Robbery helps you tell stories of desperados robbing the train to hell. It weaves weird Western yarns with an allegorical bent, where you might see fiddlers and sharpshooters and homesteader widows storming this train and stealing from the devil.
All right. And is there, on your sheet here, 2 to 6 players and 1 GM. Right now you have it as like a one sheet on itch.io, right?
Yeah.
And so what are you bringing to what is the Kickstarter zine bringing? I know you wanted to add, so what's going to be plus?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's a functional game right now as a 2-pager on itch.io, but I want to offer players more in the way of inspiration tables, more details to add to their version of the train bound for hell, so that every game can be unique and its own animal. Right now there's a number of tables you're rolling on here to get some inspiration. All of those are going to be blown up such that the 6 classes we have here, they're each going to have their own kind of sub tables to figure out some details about what makes your sharpshooter different, or what makes your fiddler unique when you're building your character who's going to rob the train to hell.
I was just wondering, what is the inspiration behind this?
Let me tip my hat to the game it draws from. Honey Heist by Grant Howitt, and his imprint Rowan, Rook, and Deckard is the big inspiration. Honey Heist lets you play games about criminal bears, and it's got a very elegant central mechanic where your bear and your criminal stat push against each other. And in this game, a similar thing, except your 2 stats are lover and sinner. So instead of the absurdity of criminal bears, there's a little more of this allegorical heft to these hellbent desperados. Thematically, I draw a lot from the musical Hadestown, from the comic series Pretty Deadly, and from the Nathaniel Hawthorne short story The Celestial Railroad, which are all works that take the kind of mythology of the American West and use it to tell stories about death, judgment, heaven and hell, all those cool, big, weighty concepts. And the Celestial Railroad in particular has this central train metaphor that I've stolen whole hog and made it a train heist on the train to hell.
And so the system itself, there'll be the zine that has your tables and the structure, but in terms of other materials, people need, sheet of paper and some D6s.
Yeah.
It's a D6 system.
Yeah, pretty simple system as far as materials in front of you. You're going to be rolling D6s. At most, you'll end up rolling 3 D6s. Of course, since it's the train to hell, if you happen to roll 666, something special happens during the game.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, let me hand you guys these, because got such a good crowd of Kickstarter backers. We've actually unlocked some expansion classes.
Ooh.
Figured we could take those for a roll. So yeah, high concept, desperados robbing the train to hell. Yeah, safety tools we want to have on the table here. We play with the X card, so we can excise content at a player's request, so we can all take care of each other and tell a good story together while also being people taking care of each other around the table. And then I'd love to put lines and veils in place as far as, kind of content that either is off the table entirely, there's a line on it, or veiled, it might exist in this world, but it's not what we're going to be focusing in on. Drew, line on sexual assault.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Definitely.
Line on peril to pregnant women or infants.
Great.
And then things that are veiled, I want to put down veils on sex and torture, right?
Sure.
This is
Great.
the Wild West. Things might get gnarly in some places, but we're not gonna focus the camera in on those. And
Right.
the train to hell can have plenty of wickedness aboard without being explicit about these sort of things. Any other things we want to definitely include as lines or veils?
Nothing for me to add in this setting, but these are perfect.
Well then, as I alluded to before, the rules are relatively simple. Much of the time when you want to do something that seems dicey, we'll turn to the dice and you'll be rolling with one or the other of your two stats, which are lover and sinner, kind of representing your nobler and your baser impulses. So you're trying to roll under, and if you succeed, that stat goes up. As you lean more onto one side or another, your stats shift, right? Things become easier or harder. If either of the stats hits 6, that's an end condition for your character. If your lover reaches 6, you're going to make a foolhardy last stand. If your sinner reaches 6, you're going to be damned, and the train will claim you for its own. You think about a little bit balancing between the two. There's ways to move a point from one to the other if you so desire. You can have a flashback scene showing how your vices have led you to this point, which moves a point from lover over to sinner. Or you can also voluntarily move a point from sinner to lover by making a costly sacrifice for another soul. Any questions about the rules?
We're good to go into setup, right?
Yeah, let's make some characters. You're going to make characters using these tables. Roll 3d6 and assign your dice to this table of kind of classes, basically. And then 2 tables of motives. One of your purer and higher motives and one of your baser and more sinful motives. Go ahead and you can use both the base class table and that expansion class table and choose between them. Sharpshooter, Snake Handler, Renegade Fury, Fiddler, Tomboy, Homesteader Widow.
These are all very good.
And with the expansion, we got Gambler, Sawbones, Revivalist, Cattle Rustler, Blind Drifter, and Runaway Bride also on the table.
I rolled a 5. I rolled a couple 5s and a 4, so I'm going to go with Blind Drifter.
Ooh.
We'll see what we get into with the Blind Drifter.
I think my character is a cattle rustler. It looks like. And it seems as if they are motivated by faith. And it seems additionally that they are also motivated by revenge.
Delicious. We'll ask some questions to drill down on those in a sec. John, you've made your picks?
Yeah, so my Blind Drifter, who has a specialty in scavenging, is motivated by prophecy, but also by pride. Hitting all the P's.
Taking a second thought about what is that prophecy your character has heard, and why has it led this character to be
To
desperado?
hold up the train.
Yeah. In case it helps, I've rolled on my little table as the
Sure.
GM, so I can tell you a couple things about this train.
Yeah, that'd be great to know.
According to rumor, the train to hell runs through the frozen overlands, and it runs on hearts that have turned to stone. That's what gets shoveled into the engine of this train as it makes its way down to the infernal city of Dis. And your prize, the thing that has led you to try to rob this train, is a particular soul. So there's someone aboard this train to hell you're trying to reclaim, and we can work together to specify those details. That's a little bit about this train, the 310 to Dis, running through the frozen overlands on hearts that have turned to stone, with a particular soul aboard that is of interest to you desperados.
And so, Kim, what are your motivations again?
Faith and revenge. And yours are prophecy and pride, huh?
Yeah, I mean, for prophecy, I could see this Blind Drifter, a prophecy of maybe a soul that is like a source of redemption. Like, should it, or in the other direction, it could be a soul that, should it ever get to hell, would open the floodgates or something, or like a path to damnation.
Oh, I see. So there's something special about this soul that makes the devil particularly eager to claim it, and
Yeah.
because of that prophecy, you want to stop that from happening.
Right.
Cool. I mean, I would love to roll with that. That sounds really awesome. In terms of where I fit in, I think I have personal connection with this soul.
Is it a sibling?
I don't know. Maybe I'm sort of feeling like I want to get revenge on the soul itself.
I see.
That's sort of where
Someone who's done you wrong.
yeah, maybe that something like that is where I'm at. So I'm like, I don't want you to go to heaven or hell. I want you thrown off the train.
Into
Something
the
like that.
To the-
Yeah.
wherever it is
Purgatorial
that those
wastes.
souls land. Yeah.
Yeah. Into the frozen lands. What do you think, John? Is that those sort of square?
Yeah, I think I'll go with I'd say the prophecy is that this is like the fresh new lieutenant. Like this soul will be
Yes.
like a harbinger for a new war.
Yes, of course.
And so should they arrive, that's the prophecy. But my pride is that I believe I possibly can save this soul. Like it doesn't need to be cast out, but perhaps can be turned.
Who was this soul in life? Were they a person who led a notable life, or led a kind of very ordinary earthly existence, and is only kind of in this post-mortal world that their stakes are so high? Like, was and indeed we know that Ken's character has it out for this soul, so they did something that got them on the wrong side of this particular cattle rustler.
What are you feeling, Ken?
Well, if this soul is like gonna be going on the train to hell to become like a lieutenant in the devil's armies, it makes sense to me that my character's faith has called them to end this terror. Yeah, I think I'm seeing more my character as someone who has a lot of faith, even though they are a criminal. I get the sense that I have run into this person before they died, maybe even.
Yeah, well, you want revenge on them for some
Yes.
wrong from life. Absolutely.
Yes, exactly.
Did they sell you out? Did they betray you?
Yeah, I kind of like the betrayal part, because then it sort of does go along with that this was maybe a brother in faith or a sister in faith or something like that, and they betrayed me and betrayed God, and that's where this righteous need for revenge is coming from.
Do we have a timeline for the world that we're dealing with? Is it like, does the game kind of want you to be in a place where the reason why it's a train is because humanity is projecting and their own like current technology shifts the face of hell to match their projection? Like,
why not? The way the character classes all kind of evoke a sort of sense of the the wild west. So I'd lean towards that unless we want to specify otherwise.
cool. I mean, I would go towards like a revivalist tent woman, like a snake handling person who ran a revivalist tent and built the masses.
Oh, so this soul was in life a snake handling revivalist herself.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Sort of a snake sister, and
Yeah.
maybe connected to you.
Definitely, I think revivalist tenses are where my character would intersect with organized religion. For
Absolutely.
Sure.
I mean, not that organized, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And how about the name Delilah Cunningham for this character?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Have you thought of names for your characters?
Well, I pulled out Lemmy Hogan.
Sure.
Pretty good.
And has Lemmy always been blind, or did Lemmy lose his sight at some point?
Lemmy's connection to this whole thing was he played his part as a low stakes con man, and was at one point for a little while was a revivalist plant who would be cured of his own blindness, and in a ironic punishment is been entered the wastelands, perhaps was bitten by snakes in the tent or something.
Ooh.
Who knows, like the exact source of his dying, but as his second life here in purgatory or wherever is as a blind person.
Lemmy, at least, believes that he's already dead by the time he's boarding the train.
Yeah, I think Lemmy's already at least feels like, or on the path. Maybe this is also his path to redemption,
Yeah,
his
absolutely.
road out.
The Desperados don't have to have already died, but if that's a story that's interesting to you, that certainly makes sense given the train to hell setting. Absolutely.
My character's name is Slapdown Jack, cattle rustler and ex-cowboy, drover, a drifter, powerful with the faith, takes most of the Ten Commandments very seriously. What he really can't cotton to is someone betraying like this person has done.
Yeah,
So
Delilah.
I think Delilah, yes, he definitely is like trying to track her down using his acumen as a cowboy. So I don't think my character thinks he's dead yet. I think he's like found the secret sort of stop where the train will make it stop where he can jump on.
Yeah, absolutely. The beginning of this game will see a pair of you stowed away aboard the caboose of this train to hell, and you'll have to make your way forward to find your prize aboard the train. Let's just, before we move into gameplay, just to make sure we know the things about this. What's the relationship between the two of you? Why have you agreed to work together as you take on this heist?
It's a collaboration of circumstance where whatever there's this train tunnel that is the gateway to hell that you entered into, and part of the prophecy was getting on the train at the right time, being there at the right place at the right time, and so we just kind of find ourselves staring down each other.
Yeah, I like that.
With shared purpose to some degree.
Right,
Yeah.
that we both find each other like waiting to get on this train, and we're like, who are you? And they're like, oh, get on this train.
Yeah, Lemmy, did the prophecy tell you that there'd be a cattle rustler walking by your side when you attempted to stop this calamity?
The prophecy just says there will be many obstacles in your path, or in the path towards stopping this.
And did you receive the prophecy yourself, or was it someone else who heard this prophecy and relayed it to you?
I think it was relayed to me. You know, in the wastes of purgatory, it's kind of a question mark if you can die again, but I've certainly tried, to survive. Sometimes it requires attempting to kill someone again.
Does Lemmy look like he's beyond the veil? Has been beyond the veil?
He just kind of looks dusty and tired and drawn.
Okay.
Just like he's been riding hard on the trail for weeks, and those weeks could be,
weeks upon weeks, weeks on end.
Uncountable, stretching out.
I know it well, partner.
Is he wearing glasses or a blindfold, or are his unseeing eyes visible to others?
I think they're straight visible. Yeah. He doesn't.
Ooh.
There was no additional things to add to his costume when he came across.
Well, desperados, let's get to it then. The two of you have met and formed an alliance of circumstance and convenience, and made your way onto the caboose of the train to hell. And so as it pulls out of this hidden station, you see the reaches of the frozen overlands stretching on either side. Tell us, what do we see is on Slapdown, or about his person, that gives a sense of his strong faith? How has it been subtly warped by his desire for revenge?
Slapdown is not a subtle fella, and so he's had a crucifix tattooed over his right eye, and so he has this cross over his eye. It has been mangled by the sun and by exposure, and so it actually looks more like a dagger surrounded by a snake or something like that right now.
There's just some warping, and you can't quite make out the symbol of faith.
That's right.
Without peering a little closer at it.
That's right.
Lemmy, as you unfold yourself in the caboose here, what sense are you using to take in the landscape of the frozen overlands, and what do you notice lets you know this is indeed no ordinary train, but the 310 headed to the infernal city of Dis?
The cold that blows in through the seams in this caboose as it rattles along on the hearts of dead men, it reaches inside, and the warmth at the center of me is touched by something. What little warmth is left in my own heart is makes me aware that whatever life I have in this purgatory is threatened by this place, and it pushes in from outside.
So
It's exposure is what it makes you feel.
So it's the piercingness of the cold that sets it apart from something kind of earthly.
Right. And that cold where it cuts through your clothes and into your bone, this goes deeper yet.
I clutch my 6-gun and look around this caboose.
Yeah, there seem to be just some disregarded barrels in the corner. Otherwise, a pretty barren car. Are you looking for something in particular? Slap down.
Looking for anything that might be useful to me, but that's very vague. Looking for some rope.
Pried open a couple of these barrels then, I'm sure, and you see one seems to be just piled high with rope, and as you pull one out, you see it's knotted into a noose at the end.
I sort of wrap that around my shoulder and waist, around my chest, as I say, something tells me this steer isn't going to come easy.
Well, we'll get on deeper in and see what we can find. I have a feeling we just got to find her and have a conversation.
Lemmy, have you told Slapdown that you think Delilah could be redeemed, brought back from the brink?
No, I don't. I think the conversation is like we've sussed out that we're looking for the same person, but what our intentions are in finding that person are not. Those haven't been clarified, or at least I haven't clarified my point on it.
You hear, Lemmy, some noises coming from up ahead. There's some clinking of cutlery. Fairly casual conversation going back and forth. You guess that it might be the dining car if you should venture forward from the caboose into the next car on the train.
I have a stick. It's more like like a walking stick kind of thing, and
Yeah.
I just kind of brush that in front of me as I move forward towards the sound and reach for the door once I felt the stick hit an obstacle there.
Yeah, absolutely. Cold doorknob, but you're able to turn it and push open that door and move through. There's some rumble of thunder up above as you cross the little gangplank between cars and make your way through the next door, such that now that all those dining sounds are much louder. All around are people enjoying their meals. You hear, rapid footsteps as waiters are moving amongst the tables. Slapdown, do you follow Lemmy?
Yes, I do.
The blind leading the cycle?
Yeah, I'm very impressed by Lemmy's adroitness moving on the train. I am perhaps less confident in his ability to wrestle this woman we're looking for. At least, he's staying on his feet. So I go in after him, yes.
Absolutely. All right. So with the two of you aboard the dining car, Mater D approaches, looks between the two of you and says, "Gentlemen, you're in luck. A table for two has just opened up," and gestures towards a table in the corner of the car that's now available.
Who are all these people in here? Are these just...
Yeah, I lean in.
Folks?
I lean in to Slapdown. I go, "What are you seeing?"
Slapdown, you look around, and indeed, the people here seem to be wearing pretty fancy duds. How can you tell, looking about, these souls are those who led a life of luxury on Earth and so are being catered to appropriately as they make their way down below?
I say, highfalutin folk enjoying a meal as they get their way down to the infernal land. What do you... I could use a drink. Let's sit down for a second.
I'm going to use one of my specialties. I'm going to try to leverage this. So I have a scavenging specialty.
You do.
So I'm going to try to sniff out, there's people are eating food around here. So I'm going to try to catch a whiff of this food. And does it seem edible?
I see. Investigating what's being served here in
Right.
the dining car. Absolutely. That makes sense.
And kind of using my specialty to lean in on that, sort of like,
Let's talk about your stats.
Sure.
You've got a lover and a sinner stat. Both of them are at 3 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So my question for you is, as you do this little investigation, are you acting mostly selflessly or selfishly?
Oh, selfishly.
Yeah, this is about self-preservation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So You can roll with Sinner,
Okay.
trying to get a 3 or under there.
Okay, and 2d6, right?
Yeah, because of your specialty, you can roll an additional d6.
Okay.
So roll 2.
Those
Both are twos.
2 twos.
Nice.
Double successes. Let me tell you first, Slapdown, you look around and people seem to be enjoying just delicious food, right? Like to your eyes, it appears they're eating the finest of delicacies from the world of the living, all kind of brought here into this one dining car. But Lemmy, your nose is not fooled. As you form a mental picture of this, you realize that it's just bowls full of dust and gravel being put in front of these diners. They are happily eating away at hard stones, dry dust, do nothing for them, but will weigh their souls down and drag them below as the train continues on its journey.
And so I will attempt to whack the spoonful or the fistful of food that Slapdown just grabbed out of his hand.
I see.
But it's just a wild swing with a stick. This will be I'll use my love stat.
Now, first, your stats will have shifted.
Because
you succeeded at rolling with Sinner, so move your Sinner up to 4 and your Lover down to 2.
Okay.
All right. And now you're rolling with Lover, trying to get a 2 or below.
I did not.
Oh boy.
I'm so sorry. So Slapdown, how do you block Lemmy's stick as he tries to keep this meal from you?
Yeah, I'm reaching for this dripping shank of meat as I'm sort of getting my hand around it, bringing it to my face to bite into it. He quickly turns on me and tries to bat it down out of my grip. I'm just going to catch his stick in my hand as I stick this thing in my mouth. Watch where you're poking that! And then,
Oh, that's interesting.
Food, I would think.
Does the illusion hold?
That's an interesting question. You know what? Let's say that indeed that's what happens, right? That you block the stick, you take the bite, but you're just kind of distracted enough from the illusion by Lemmy swinging this at you that you feel the dust in your mouth, and you feel it kind of like before you can spit it out, you feel it just sort of slide down your throat. The waiter sort of materializes next to you officiously. Says, is there something wrong? Do I need to send this back to the chef?
Water! I need water! I need to wash this out!
Right away, sir.
I take nothing more from this train.
Oh, God dang it. That's right.
You see her around here?
I scan the people at the dining car as they're biting into all this lavish food.
You don't see Delilah, who's the wealthiest, person to ever, show their face in the revival tent that she presided over, though.
Oh, Judge Harper, probably.
Yes,
Yeah.
the judge.
Yeah, big man, right?
Mm-hmm.
In all senses, big personality, big build, big sway over the towns that he rode the circuit among. So, yeah, Judge Harper is holding court at one of the booths here, kind of, roast meat pie in front of him that he's cutting into, and kind of as he tells a joke, this whole table of lawyers and bankers, kind of throw their heads back and laugh. So that's the familiar face you're able to spot in the dining car.
And I grimace as I say, "Ain't no Delilah here, just that rat bastard judge."
Oh, how did he wrong you in particular? Slapdown.
I flash back. Before I was a cattle rustler, Judge Harper is the person who sentenced me after my first transgressions. And I was a victim of circumstance, of course, caught up in events that I had no control over.
Merely youthful folly.
Yes, youthful folly, exactly. But he threw the book at me and branded me an outlaw, and that's how I started on this path. Though I pleaded with him, asked for the mercy of the court and the mercy of God, he did not give me either. After that, I found my way to one of these revivalist tents.
What do you want to do, Slapdown? Are you hoping to just move along, or do you have any words to share with them?
I want him to realize that everything is turned to ash in his mouth. What I sort of experienced with eating the food and it being grit and ash, I
you
sort
want
of
to share the ugly
want to
truth.
share the ugly truth, exactly.
Yeah, how do you want to do that?
I will march up to him, and I'll get in his face, and I'll be like, "Do you remember me?"
He was like in the middle of telling the story. He like looks up. He's like, "Pardon me, fella, but I don't think I do. As you can see, I'm in the middle of dinner here. Perhaps we could
You're in
reconnect
the middle of
later."
a shit sandwich that you have no idea about, and I'm glad to tell you about it. You're on your way to the worst place in this universe.
What, New York City? And
New York
the
City?
lawyers and bankers all laugh.
And I say, nope, you've got yourself a one-way ticket to hell. I hope you enjoy burning your britches off for all the years to come, you stanky rat bastard.
All right.
Eat up.
I feel like you're trying to make the scales fall from his eyes.
I am.
But not out of any particular
No.
compassion for him.
No.
It's you just want
His
the
revenge.
I want
depth
my
of his
revenge.
predicament
I want
to
my
sink
revenge.
in. So make a sinner roll,
Oh.
and I think you get an additional dice for revenge.
Oh, I fail.
Oh dear. Well,
Fail.
what's your sinner right now?
That's 4.
Wow, you rolled a 5 and a
I know.
6.
I know.
All right, so your sinner fails there. The judge looks at you coldly, takes another bite of his food. It's clear that your words have not broken through his self-satisfaction here. He's still enjoying his meal, but he does reach for a little bell on the table, and he rings it. You suddenly find there's several of those waiters all around you.
Oh boy.
And he says, "Gentlemen, this fella seems to have lost his way, and he's disturbing my dinner guests. Would you escort him out of this car?" The waiters nod. One of them goes over to wipe off the spot on the table that a little of your spittle had landed on while you were confronting the judge. And then several of the waiters reach in, they grab their hands around you, and they all look like very, very civilized waiters, but you feel iron claws digging into your arms.
Get your paws off me. Get your paws off me. I'm moving. I'm moving.
They are not listening to you. They are dragging you away.
Ah!
Lemmy, what do you do?
I'll make a little bit of a sacrifice here.
Okay.
Jump in. Which direction are they dragging him back to the caboose to toss him off the back, or what's the?
Yeah, looks like they're headed towards the direction you guys came in, and you surmise they might be planning to just toss him into the frozen wastes.
I'll intervene. I'm going to jump in front, throw my arms wide, and say, "We're moving on. We're moving on. Just let us be," and kind of swing my stick wildly in front of me.
Okay, so basically the sacrifice is kind of making yourself a target.
Making myself
before
a
you
target.
were overlooked.
Right.
Yeah, you can go ahead and move a point from sinner to lover there. The waiters kind of pause, look back and forth. Slightly nonplussed that there's not one but 2 disruptive actors aboard this train. You feel their grip lessen for a second. Slapdown as they're wondering whether they need to be grabbing Lemmy as well. Slapdown, what do you do?
As they're lessening their grip on me, I am reaching out and grabbing this large, ornate gravy boat as I am attempting to dump it on them and on the floor to make it a bit of a mess and a bit slippery, maybe.
I see. Dumping gravy.
Dumping gravy. I'm grabbing some gravy to try and dump it.
Yeah, and
Get your hands off me, you varmints!
Lemmy has given you an opening
Gravy
here.
train to the rescue!
Sounds like this might still be a sinner roll because it's so just
So
the
just
one dice.
Ugh, that would be a negative.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's how it goes.
Trying to pour gravy on the waiters in an attempt to slip their grasp.
Yes.
The judge stands up. As soon as he stands up, all the fancy folk around the table stand up too. It's no one's going to be sitting while the judge is standing.
All rise.
It's not a gavel. He's just holding the knife he was carving his his meat with. But as he gestures with it, it's clear that he's thinking of that gavel he swung and consigned so many malefactors to perdition before. As at you slap down, he says, "Now I do recognize you. You're one of that rabble and riffraff that used to hang round Delilah's tents. Well, let me tell you, you'll get what's coming to you just like she got what was coming to her." The waiters, there's just more arms than there were waiters. It's suddenly there's several arms with kind of grasping claw-like hands per waiter, and they've pinned you all around, and everyone in the car is kind of standing up to watch the scene go down. And one waiter has approached you, Lemmy, because you were kind of putting yourself in their path as well, and you haven't done anything as aggressive as Slapdown here has. So I think the waiter just like courteously offers you an arm, saying, "It's clear you're not in the right place either, sir. Why don't you come along with us, and we can escort you where you need to go."
So that's when I holler, "Is that you, Harper? Is that you I hear?
Oh,
You're on the hot train too, huh?
what's
It makes sense. You were her patron."
your background with Judge Harper, Lemmy?
I think, as a low stakes conman and a guy who just kind of ran the circuit, and I was in and out of the tents and ran, basically Delilah turned Revival into a con game and bilked a lot of people out of a lot of money, and Harper made sure to get his cut, and she sent stuff his way and vice versa. It was a big old grift and a lot of corruption with her kind of at part of the heart of it. I was dabbling in that world a little bit myself.
So you calling out corruption here? Like you're trying to make him see the error of his ways, or
I'm flagging that he doesn't read that he's like in the hot seat. He's on his ride down. He's not on some fancy vacation. That's what I'm calling out. I'm saying I know we're on the right road. One of the vultures that circled the field of waste that she left in her wake would of course be on this train.
What you want is for him to kind of reconsider his self-satisfied attitude. Is that right?
Yeah, sort of shock him out of
It sounds like this is less about revenge than Slapdown's kind of intervention was, or am I?
Yeah, no, it's not as much revenge. Like this is, I think, driven by the prophecy a little bit. Like we need to move forward. There's a selfishness in that, like, so it's prophecy, maybe even a little bit of pride. Like we can't be set aside, and we can't let this kind of guy stand in our way. So there's a couple possible angles there.
Yeah, I think you'll definitely get to roll the 2 dice because your motivations are coming into this. The question is this a lover or a sinner roll? And so is it more about punishing Harper or more about letting the truth come out so you can move through this car full of lies?
I think there's a little bit of a lover role in that it's attempting to get the judge to self-examine a little bit.
Yeah.
This is his last chance. This is also like training wheels for when I need to try to do this with Cunningham.
Yeah. Okay. Trying to make a real connection, possibly spark some remorse in the heart of this hardened man. Go ahead and roll with lover. You're rolling 2 dice, and what's your lover right now?
3.
All right.
All right.
Hey. Nice. How do you make this stick, right? Because I think at first he starts to scoff, right? Hearing another ne'er-do-well trying to scold him here. What do you do or say that like breaks through to him such that he will realize he's seriously misevaluated what sort of a place he's in?
I think the offered arm isn't expecting me to sort of throw it off balance. So like there's this offered arm that sort of nudges me, and I sort of throw my arms wide as I yell out to the judge, and that sends this thing toppling into a table, which shatters an aspect of the illusion.
Oh, I'm sure like as it hits the table, like kind of dust flies everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like kind of
and almost like through the cascading dust, you can see like that becomes a lens for the illusion. And as the dust settles, the illusion resets, but perhaps like the scales have fallen from this guy's eyes.
For a moment, the dust actually kind of breaks through the glamour of this car, and the judge looks around in horror. He says, "What in tarnation? No, I was a good man. All those things that I did, they had good reasons. They were justifiable. It was all justifiable." And like as the other souls around him start like asking him what he's talking about, he starts kind of like pushing them aside, saying like, get away from me. I don't belong here. No. And is, in fact, like, as they like are handing him round, he like flips over the table in front of him.
Nope.
The waiters surge over. These tables being upset means they have to right them, right? And so, so suddenly there's all these hands reaching to like pick up fallen silverware and plates and trying to set everything back to rights. But there's a bit of chaos going on here in the dining car. Slapdown, you've still got some waiters trying to hold on to you,
Right.
but they're distracted by all the things that are now
Right.
taking place.
Yeah.
Only one of them is like still insistent on like trying to drag you towards the door, while the other ones are like being pulled in different directions because they're also reaching to pick up the
Right.
table. And
Right.
what do you do?
You're not going to pick my bones clean, vultures. As I'm sort of squirming and kicking, you sort of realize there's only one sort of who has me over their shoulder, sort of like taking me down this train car. I've got no quarrel with you. Just put me down and I'll go on my way. I don't need to upset your fancy dining car any further.
Do you really think it's fancy?
Well, yes, I do. It's one of the fanciest dining cars I've ever been in.
We worked really hard. We had to fold the napkins a particular way and everything. These folks, they're very very particular.
I'm sure they are. They, expect a certain level of service, which you obviously are providing at a very high level.
Sounds like you're trying to make a human connection with one of these waiters on
I
the
am.
dining car of the
I
train
am.
to hell.
I am.
All right. What's your lever stat right now?
My lever stat is 4 right now.
I do make it finally.
Okay.
Finally.
The servitor puts you down, wipes some of the dust off your clothes, says, well, as you can see, we've got to set some things to right here. So, I suppose the boss wouldn't mind if we left you to your own devices for a moment. And they turn away, and you see them trying to like put the table back up, and indeed like refold a napkin so it can look like a little bird perched on the table. No longer trying to make a big scene.
Yeah.
Lemmy, do you go along with Slapdown? Are you content to kind of leave the car in like
Yeah,
relative uproar?
I'm definitely of a mind that we need to move on.
Yeah.
Where the trail is hot.
Yes.
Well, I think you, as you leave, you can still hear the judge yelling that there's been some kind of a mistake, as the other souls try to placate him and the servitors try to get the tables reset. But the two of you make your way off of the dining car, and you find yourself once more feeling that piercing cold, because this next car is open to the elements. There's a little catwalk round it. The center of the car is a huge cylindrical tanker, and you hear like sloshing from inside. It's carrying something liquid. There isn't like a covered passenger area. This is just a little service walk around the tanker.
Are there walls?
No, you can if you look out, you see the expanse of the frozen overlands. What's subtly changed about them since you were inside the dining car, Slapdown?
We're just going over these large expanses, crevasses, very icy, thin bridges that have very thin support columns that are going down further than we can see, sort of into some misty.
Maybe what we thought
abyss.
were like train whistles or howls. Now that we're outside, every time we pass over one of these chasms, there's just screams
Yeah.
Howls
rising
coming
up
from below.
like and this like rush of wind carrying these
Totally.
screams.
Yeah, and still from above, Lemmy, you are hearing that roll of thunder. Slapdown, as you look up, you see the trail of smoke coming from the engine at the front of the train.
Okay.
But it's like a storm cloud. It's like a heavy, purple cloud, and there are flashes of lightning occasionally from inside of it. The tanker is just, if you reach out and touch it, it's just kind of cool to the touch, you'd expect, exposed to the cold of the frozen overland.
As we walk into this car, you're saying there's railing on either side of the tanker. What's on top of this thing?
Yeah, as we come along, is there like a ladder or anything that would lead to the top of the tanker?
Yeah, you can definitely. There's definitely a ladder that leads up to the top, and I think there's probably a little porthole, basically.
I am looking at Lemmy. I'm saying, Lemmy, buddy, partner. They're talking about some sort of boss on this train. I don't know who that'd be. The conductor, I guess. I don't know.
I mean,
where this Delilah is. Where Delilah is that we're looking for.
I'd make the assumption that there's only one big boss around here.
You think it's her?
she's got to have a boss too.
Oh, that big boss. Yeah, well,
But
hopefully he's
and
not on this train, right? That's not. I don't think that's what's supposed to be happening.
I wouldn't discount anything on this ride. But and my hand though, like we're in mid conversation, my hand finds the ladder, and my scavenger like greed kicks in, and I need to know what's up.
Yeah, I'll
So
go up there with him to keep telling him what I see.
The two of you carefully make your way up the ladder of the tanker car, work open that porthole to look inside. Slap down. You see, looks like crystal clear water sloshing around inside this tanker car.
Okay.
Lemmy, you smell faintest whiff of something. What's your most pleasant childhood memory?
Flowers from rolling around with a young lass in a field as a teen boy.
Bonnie lass.
Mm-hmm. Innocence of spring and sweet kisses and that kind of just a sense memory, and it all flashes vividly, like I'm seeing it again, to the point where I'm reeling a little bit with sight that I haven't had in a while.
Calling that puppy love. The scent of those flowers takes you right back, but that seems to be what's going on in this tanker car. Are you interested in learning more?
I am leaning very much into this now.
I just sort of shrug and I'm like, it looks like a bunch of water. Maybe it's kerosene or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think
What is
you'll
this
see
for?
me like I'm about ready to dive head first into this.
Slap down. Do you do anything when you see Lemmy ready to?
It's not out of the realm of possibility that things are illusory or not as they seem here.
You remember that
yes, from
dust you tasted
the last
in the last
car
car.
with my newfound companion. He's got some grit, that's for sure. I think I'm gonna put a hand on his shoulder and try and stop him from going headfirst into the drink. Saying, wait, maybe have a taste first before you try and drink a ocean.
Let's make a lover roll there.
Oh, I'm making a lover roll?
Yeah.
Keep me from swimming.
You're helping out.
All right.
Trying to pull your buddy back from the brink.
All right.
Do you think your faith or your revenge?
I think I'm trying to stop him from stampeding into this water.
I'll
No?
I'll give it to
No?
you.
Wow.
No,
Okay.
no. I'll give it to you if you can tell me about a time when the herd was about to stampede.
That's easy.
Uh,
That's
because
easy.
someone had gotten a taste of something they shouldn't have.
That's easy. Okay, yeah. Stampeding is very particular art. You don't just want to stop a stampede. You need to know how to start a stampede as well. There's
Certainly if you're wrestling cattle.
so many different applications of the stampede. Particular story of the stampede. There was a fire going on, you see, so the cattle couldn't even see where they were stampeding to. They were stampeding towards drop off, so they were gonna sort of lemming it, as my friend's name implies. I was able to stop them by spraying them with water.
To stop Lemmy from going head first in, you're just gonna splash a little
Yeah, I'll
bit of
splash
the water.
some water on his face. yes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So roll 2 dice for your lover.
I got my lover score exactly. Is that a success?
It is a success. However, if it's equal to the relevant stat, you succeed. But the GM will add some sort of complication.
Oh, jumping crawdaddies.
With the clarity of having a little of this water splashed on your face, Lemmy, then you realize that this is hope. Liquid hope. In kind of highly concentrated form. You've heard a prophecy or two while you've wandered the wastes for the train to hell. Hope is a dangerous thing. Exposing it to the air like you've just done might be a bad move. So there's a crackle of thunder and lightning strikes.
Ooh,
Slap down. Your vision is seared for a second.
seared.
Because the lightning is striking
You're seared.
right down into the tanker. For Lemmy, it's just that smell, right?
The ozone.
The ozone
yeah.
smell. You realize that the storm above that comes stony hearts that run this train is not happy about hope being unveiled here. So there's ominous thunder and more crackling. What do you do?
My cowboy hat has a big hole in it, and there's all the scoring marks from where the lightning licked me.
Oh man, so you got kind of nicked there.
Yeah, exactly. Just sort of like, ugh. I think I'm gonna join Lemmy and jump in this pool.
You're gonna jump in as well?
Thinking about it.
Pull the lid down behind us?
Very heavily considering it.
I see. So rather than slam the lid shut and move forward, you're just like, all right, let's both go in.
Let's go in.
Lemmy, are you going along with it?
The crack of thunder and the lightning and the splash on my face, this like a little bit of cold reality in your success has come through. And now, like, it's a little bit of a reverse situation where I'm actually trying to slam the lid shut.
Cool.
As you're trying to scramble past me into it.
Right.
So it's a little bit of a race against time. And I'd say this though is going to be a selfish role here because I'm trying to save my own skin.
I see.
I'm not so much worried about.
You got a taste of hope, but Slapdown didn't. So you're slapping down that lid.
I am.
Before Slapdown can have any of this.
Right. I'm taking away temptation a little bit
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Using my own namesake. You are diabolical.
Okay. Go ahead and.
So this is going to be.
roll.
This will be a. Will it be a lover roll or a sinner roll?
Oh,
What do you
sorry.
think?
Yeah.
Sinner
you said
roll?
It's mostly about selfishness
Yeah.
here. So.
And I'll take a scar to roll an extra die as well.
What are you thinking about that scar?
Where the lightning struck, it actually struck the lid of this thing, and so it's red hot.
Scorching hot now.
Yeah.
The hand that grabs at it, I'll have to slam it shut and hold on long enough to like pull the lever as well. So I will basically char one hand to the bone to uselessness
Yeah.
in doing this. If I
Your
succeed.
face betraying no emotion.
You will. I mean, you'll take the scar whether or not you
Yeah,
succeed.
so I will be burning myself.
Yeah, I love it.
So that is a 6 and a 5. So that is not a success.
Reach out. You grab this cover, right, and then like lightning strikes it again. Yes, your hand is burned, but you're also like kind of like for like a moment there, like kind of paralyzed atop the tanker car. Slapdown dives right in.
Yeah, I guess that's what happened.
Slapdown, as you hit the water, what is pleasant memory that suddenly becomes overwhelming? That like like at first it's pleasant experiencing it, but then like contrast between that memory and the place you're in now starts to like feel like it's drowning you.
Goes bucolic here. I think of my character's memory is lassoing his first steer. As it starts to clash with everything around me, it's almost like a never-ending purgatory of being a cowboy, like never having...
Never coming down off those fences.
Never coming down.
Also, as the
Sure.
water soaks that noose that you wrapped around your
Oh,
chest,
yeah.
you start to feel a little constriction, like you yourself are the steer being lassoed
Yeah,
here for the moment.
totally.
This is when I'll shove my stick down into the water.
The hell rope does not like the hope
No.
water.
So Evan, you stick down in the water in the hopes that Slapdown can pull himself.
Yeah, and I
back
holler
out.
like, "Grab it, you fool!
And
I gotta get out of here!"
And it's sort of distorted, I think, in the water as it's almost like, hold him, as it like the stick hits me sort of in the head, and it's almost
Yeah.
like I feel like a sear, like a brand or something like
Ooh,
that.
yeah.
I'm having this crazy moment where I feel like
it hits
I'm,
you in your kind of warped crucifix tattoo.
Yeah, warped crucifix tattoo.
Sounds like this might be a lover roll from Lemmy to get through and get Slapdown out.
Oh, can I do a descent before you make the roll? I guess.
Since we're in flashback
Yeah,
mode.
as I'm branded in the head, conceptually, of course. I think back to when I used my Bowie knife to like cut brands off of cows to like try and like be able to rustle them. Exactly. The
Heating it up over the
exactly.
fire to like
bloody
cover the brand
work,
with another scar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like their cries, and me realizing that I'm outlaw now.
Let's see if Lemmy can get you out of here.
Hey now, there we go.
Nice.
Finally a success.
Yeah.
Reach up and grab it.
Kind of shaken from your vision, you're able to grab the stick. I think we'll see the two of you. You're kind of like shakily make your way down the ladder
Yeah.
and get ready to move on to the next car. We'll give you a glimmer of hope, Slapdown, because you took a bath in the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think you swallowed a little bit of hope when you went in there.
Yep.
And so that like dusty feeling in your chest from eating the food in the first car. I think that's been washed away a little.
Okay.
Something good came out of this car.
We can do this, Lemmy. We'll find Delilah and make her pay.
Well, this place may be payment enough. We'll see where we get when we get there. We've got a long road yet.
Amen, brother.
So we interrupt our story here, and we'll continue in our next communique. I was one of your players, John Holt. You can find me on Twitter at Lord Joho and on Instagram at board_ghost. Ken, where can people find you?
Board Ghosts, find me on Twitter at Berlingsbeard. BERLINGS. Beard. I am a freelance dungeon master in the New York City area, and currently I'm working with a licensed psychiatrist to provide group therapy sessions for kids using D&D. I also have a show that's going on at Wildrance in Chinatown. Come check out my work, say hi. I will be at Dreamation at the end of February 2020, so if you're there, please let's connect.
Cool. All right. And Alexi, where can people find you? And also, let's get another plug-in for your Kickstarter for this Zine Quest.
Absolutely. So people can find me online by following my gaming endeavors at Cloven Pine Games. So that's at Cloven Pine Games on Twitter and Cloven Pine Games on itch.io. And people should definitely check out the Great Soul Train Robbery on Kickstarter. It's Kickstartering until February the 18th. And if you're listening after that point, you can sign up to find out where to get the zine. It's going to be a 32-page zine expanding this game with more tables of inspiration for players and game masters to craft their own unique hellish train heists.
So we'll have more information on that and links to all the stuff that we just discussed at boardghost.com. You can attempt to peer surveil and contact us at BoardGhostWorld on Twitter. Shout out through the ether if you have desires we can fulfill. We'd like to thank Pat Couples for our theme song and interlude music. You can find more about Pat at patcouples.tumblr.com or on his band's website, hotelsandhighways.com. If you're not alone in the void, share our stories. The more they are consumed, the truer they become.
Dying don't agree with me, no. Oh, yeah.